don't know what they're talking about. In time, I'm sure it'll all come back. Doctor, my memory's fine. It's my sanity I'm beginning to worry about.
All right, guys, I have another round of which movie is better for you guys. Really excited to do this one. I think we had a lot of fun last time. And this one is, the ones I've lined up are a little more curated and just a little more better comparisons. Because let's face it, when you're like, hey, which one's better, 1917 or Prometheus? It's not very interesting.
Yeah, Prometheus is just ungodly good.
That's what it is. I went through and just made a list, and then I kind of customized it a bit, and I want to go through these. So once again, criteria is just which movie is better. Each person's criteria of that is going to be a little bit different depending on what you value in a movie, things like that. First one up, we got Europa Report or M.
Ooh.
This was a hard one. I actually randomly connected these two, and I was like, I don't even know. Like, that's really hard. I wouldn't be shocked if we end up with like a ranked list of all these movies if Europa Report and M are both in the top 10.
My knee-jerk reaction is M, but like really, they're so hard to compare. And I'm thinking about, this one's tough. Are they all this hard?
Some of them might be. We'll see. I mean, okay. There's one that's going to be easy for me. That'll be hard. It might be hard for you guys. We'll see.
I think I'm going to go with Europa Report. I think it's a better movie, but I don't think it's as groundbreaking or impactful.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a more polished, more focused film.
Hey, Scott, let me ask you this. Which one is more rewatchable of those two?
I'm going to say Europa Report is more rewatchable, but M feel like you said, Scott, it just feels more groundbreaking, and that really kind of pushes up the ranking for me.
I think I would probably rewatch M before I rewatched Europa Report.
Yeah, that's kind of where my heart is falling.
I still don't know how they did the through the window shot. And I was like trying to look it up and find some information about it, but no one's done one of those like special effects videos on YouTube that I saw for that specific shot. Like, I just know how big the cameras were and how loud they were and how small that window was and stuff. And I'm trying to figure out how did they push it through the little not the panes of glass, but through the the lattice frames in the glass. Like, where did those go? Did it just like attach to the camera and then it was just like go with the rest of the shot or something? I'm not entirely sure, but I've been trying to reverse engineer that and go like, how would somebody do that 100 years ago versus today, where you can build an entire interior of a spaceship and then modularly take off the walls and stuff like that. And that's just par for the course, but it's not what it was back then. It was like, you've got a building and you got to go film in it, you know?
I think I'm going to land on Europa Report over M. I think it's very close.
Yeah, it is very close. I will select M for myself. That's all I got.
There you go.
Yeah. I feel uncomfortable saying that out loud in public.
Well, there's some movies like American Werewolf in London, M, Cinema Paradiso, like movies like that. I'm like, I feel nervous to say anything negative about some of these movies because I know someone's going to get really mad at me. I don't feel nervous about saying that about Paris, Texas, though, for some reason. Interesting. Okay.
That's because I'm the only one shouting from the rooftops how great it is.
There you go.
No, I'm just kidding.
I was listening to the section of the Quantum Cowboys episode where it was like, Scott, what did you think about this movie? And I was like, oh, that was spicy, Scott.
Pat on the back.
I literally hated this film. It should have been unmade.
Okay, next one is About Time or Batman Returns. I'm going to admit, this randomly, I randomly clicked these two together, and I was like, wow, I don't know why this is so hard. Like, because in my head, I'm like, well, yeah, it's about time. But then I start thinking about Batman Returns. I'm like, damn, that's a good movie, though. That's really up there.
There are things that I loved about Batman Returns, but it is not my favorite film. I can only take so much Tim Burton at once, and this is like the most Tim Burton-y Tim Burton that ever Tim Burtoned. I also can only take so much rom-com.
Hold
at a
on.
time.
We're making that into a t-shirt, just so you know.
with just a spiral.
Yeah.
A spiral for the abstract art.
Can you say that again? The most Tim Burton-y Tim Burton? How did that go? That was amazing.
The most Tim Burton that ever Tim Burtoned.
Okay, yeah.
Man, both are good for different reasons, but I would probably go with About Time. I think it's a more powerful movie, even with its rom-com flaws.
I actually landed on that side too. I think About Time is a better movie, and I think it was just more impactful. And any movie that's gonna rip my heart out and throw it on the ground, like that's pretty good. So
Yeah, I have to agree with both of you. That feeling that you get after you watch About Time for the first time is like what it's all about. And we talked about it on that episode, but I'm just walking outside, like looking at the sunshine through the trees. And just like if a movie can make you just like be in awe of the world, that's unbelievable. And I didn't get the same experience from Batman Returns, although I really like that movie. But yeah, About Time for me.
I think what Batman Returns did for me is I look at fish and I just think of the penguin's butt.
Yeah.
Okay, next one. The Devil All the Time or The Ring.
Ring.
Right there. I love it. I'm actually going to land on Devil All the Time. It is a very hard movie to watch, but I think I enjoyed watching it more than The Ring. And I can honestly I'd have to really work myself up to watch it, but I think I'd reach for Devil All the Time first.
I think I'm going to go with The Ring on this one. I think The Ring manages to straddle the entertainment factor and the actually scary factor in a unique way that I've really never seen in any other film.
Yeah, when we watched The Ring, I was surprised at how well it aged. Still, I know it's coming and I'm still feeling creepy and looking over my shoulder. Yeah, and then when we watched Devil All the Time, I just felt like I needed to take a really hot shower.
Yeah. See, I think part of the reason I picked Devil All the Time is because of that feeling. It's sort of like that feeling you get after watching About Time. Devil All the Time didn't make me feel that way, but it still had that same powerful emotion and effect on me. It was just a really gritty one, but
yeah,
it still had that powerful effect.
Have you guys ever watched The Passion of the Christ?
No.
Once.
So I'll never watch that movie again because it was really, really hard to watch Jesus get the ever-living shit beat out of him.
Yeah.
It's similar with The Devil All the Time. I'm never going to watch it again, even though it was really good. And it,
I get that.
But I think The Ring is the better movie, but it's also not as, emotionally impactful. But, it's just... Did scare the crap out of me for lots of years, though.
This one might be a little easy. We'll see. Detroit Rock City or The Secret of Nim?
This is not easy.
This is not easy at all.
Not easy at all. See, for me, I like Detroit Rock City, but I think The Secret of Nim is just a better movie.
I think that's right. I mean, man, this is tough because they're so diametrically opposite.
Yeah, they're very different. I think we've said similar things when we watch both of these movies, in the fact that I feel like there's a lot of personality. There's a lot of passion behind the film. Even though Secret of Nim isn't really high on my 1 to 5 star rating, I still put it up pretty dang high as a very important film because it has so much Don Bluth personality in it. But Detroit Rock City does have that as well. But I think I'm still going to land on Secrets of Nim for this one.
Secrets of Nim has flaws, and those flaws are not meant to be there. They're just Don Bluth being Don Bluth, and it's this weird balance of it's a kind of boring, kind of weirdly acted, amazingly animated film. My 4-year-old goes back and rewatches Secret of Nim all the time. It's kind of one of his go-to movies that he recognizes and wants to rewatch. And every time I watch it, I'm like, this is good, and I still get the same feelings of man, if only, if only it was just this or something like that, it would have been perfection, but it's just really flawed in that artist sort of way, just didn't get there. Whereas Detroit Rock City is there's flaws because they're supposed to be there. It's not supposed to be a high quality film, but when it mattered, the punches hit hard, you know. But when it didn't matter, it was just a teenager rebel story romp, you know. And also as good. I don't know that you could elevate Detroit Rock City any more than it already is. It's kind of at its peak. Whereas Secret of Nim, like I said, is like, if only it would have been so much better.
Gotcha. So you're going with Secrets of Nim, I'm assuming?
Maybe. Yeah, probably.
This is tough for me only because I saw Detroit Rock City at such a
the perfect age
time. Yeah, the perfect age, just adventurous, rebellious sort of era of my life. So it impacted me. And then here I am as a 37-year-old watching Secret of Nim for the first time. But all that is to say, I think Secret of Nim is better. Just that whole deep dive we did with Don Bluth, anyone should go back and listen to those. You might think, oh, this is kind of silly. There's 4 animated children's cartoon episodes. Why would I watch those? But I'm telling you, we really dove deep into those and filled in a lot of the backstory of Don Bluth, the man himself. So anyways, go back, listen to those. But that was Don Bluth like spreading his wings for the first time. That's a really cool movie, and the visuals were unbelievable. Much more interesting to look at than almost anything in Detroit Rock City. But the ending and how everything culminates in Detroit Rock City is like underrated, like really good. But yeah, my answer after all that is Secret of Nim.
Let's do, the next one is The Untouchables or An American Werewolf in London.
Ooh, this is another kind of toughie.
Yeah, I have my answer, but I also made this list, so I've been thinking about it. So I'm kind of putting you guys on the spot. For me, I think I'm going to put An American Werewolf in London. Man, just Untouchables has some really good scenes in it, though. But I really did enjoy An American Werewolf in London. That movie, actually, I think it even got better after our episode. Like, I still look back at that movie, and I'm just like, man, it's so good. What was it? Somebody posted up. They're like, hey, I'm looking for like scary movies to watch. I'm trying to keep it anything before the 90s, and I just don't want to watch it. And I messaged and I commented. I was like, you have to watch American Werewolf in London. Like, I don't care that it's before the 90s. Like, it's still worth it, no matter what.
I think I'm going to go with American Werewolf in London. When we recorded the Untouchables episode, I was surprised at how underwhelmed I was when I was looking at it with a critical eye. Now, having just watched another movie scored by Ennio Morricone, I just think most of my emotional attachment to that is like 3 or 4 scenes and the soundtrack. And the story is a cool concept, and I love, like I said, there's just a handful of scenes like the baseball bat scene or the staircase scene or the elevator scene. It's just stuff like that. They're like really iconic, but they're also like underscored by an incredible soundtrack, by an incredible composer. And I kind of wonder if that's what's carrying that film, whereas An American Werewolf in London just kind of executes perfectly on what it was trying to do, and it's got some like unhinged stuff in it that's not my jam. But I think all in all, American Werewolf in London is a more electrifying film and really fills its role better than The Untouchables tried to do.
I will say, though, randomly, maybe twice a month, I just say under my breath, "You're mucking with a G here, pal." I just say that, and it just tickles me.
What are you prepared to do?
Yes, it's so good.
All I can see is that guy when he gets thrown off the roof and like the like blue screen and he's falling to his death. I'm gonna zag. I think for me, there's a lot more to chew on as far as the cinematography goes in The Untouchables. American Werewolf in London does appeal to my taste much more than The Untouchables. So it's hard to pick. And you just named off a few of the scenes, but also that scene when they're like in the hospital and it's following them through the hallway. And then, what's his name? The kind of the short guy with the glasses when he gets shot in the elevator, mixed in with everything that you mentioned. I don't know, man. This is Untouchables for me, but this is a tough. It's a tough choice.
I'd love to do a cinematography deep dive into The Untouchables. There's a lot of good camera work in that I've never really paid attention to.
When we recorded that, I tried to like screen share. I don't think it translated at all over just podcast, but there's a lot you can look at. But yeah, Brian De Palma, I don't know, man. Yeah. I made my choice. Untouchables for me.
Cinema Paradiso or Paris, Texas? I think anyone who's listened to our episodes, I'm going with Cinema Paradiso pretty quickly. I think it's just I really labeled it as a rite of passage film, and I actually posted that on a film discussion group, and I had a ton of people message me. They're like, "Same, dude." Like after I watched Cinema Paradiso, I felt like I leveled up. Like I just reached a whole nother level of appreciating film and why I love it so much.
They're like inverse films. Paris, Texas is great, but the ending is the best. And Cinema Paradiso is the best, but the ending is the worst.
That's a good point.
Did you get those mixed up or did I hear you wrong?
I think Paris, Texas did exactly what it was supposed to do. And I was all the way in throughout the whole thing. And the ending is really impactful. Basically, from the peep show to the very end when he doesn't drive back, I think is exactly what it's supposed to be. And I was just bored with the whole affair thing at the end of Cinema Paradiso. He shouldn't have been a 50-something-year-old man ever in that movie.
I am blown away. Okay, so I agree with everything you're saying. So in my mind, I kind of just like forget Toto's relationship with Elena. I just sort of like I said, I don't care about it at all. But the last scene in Cinema Paradiso where he's bawling watching that film that Alfredo
I forgot about that
for
scene.
him.
That's a good
Okay,
one.
I had to clarify because to me that's the ending, but you're right. The ending kind of blows with Cinema Paradiso and Elena.
Act 3. Yeah. Let me clarify. Act 3 in Paris, Texas is incredible, and Act 3 in Cinema Paradiso is just not that great.
I'm gonna pick Cinema Paradiso because of one thing. They're neck and neck to me. I love them both immensely. But for me, I like walking out of a movie when I'm like more motivated to watch more movies. If that makes sense. Like I was just like, dude, I love the movie theater. I love watching cinema. I love everything about this weird power that is behind this strange thing that humans do. We just watch movies. I don't know. It like celebrated film in a unique way. So I'm gonna have to go with that. But shout out to Paris, Texas. Also, oh god, I love that movie.
I am gonna make my decision though. It is Cinema Paradiso. I think it's a better movie.
Okay.
Straight across. Okay. This one might be really tough. Okay. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or Mighty Morphin Power Rangers?
TMNT. Come on.
Oh man, coming at the gate. I love it.
I know I said that Power Rangers is a perfect movie, but it doesn't mean I liked it.
I think both of these movies succeeded in what they wanted to do. 100% for both of them.
That's the right take, I think. Yeah, TMNT for me as well. I mean, honestly, if I said anything else, I'd be lying. So yeah, TMNT. That movie changed my life.
Yeah, no. I'm going to go with TMNT as well. And I think it's just because it's more mature than Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Yeah, I think exactly. Power Rangers, like I said, did exactly what it wanted to do. It's a really fun watch. There's nothing better than watching it with your kids or younger people, and they're just like karate chopping everything. But TMNT is just, it's more mature. It's got some really strong scenes between the main characters. And it really, there's like no real flatness in that movie. Like, I feel like it's just every scene really hits. Maybe some with, I think his name is Daniel, the kid who was like in with the Foot Clan. Might be one or two scenes with him that I'm like, what are you doing? But other than that, it just peak throughout the whole film. Okay, let's do our last one for now, and then we can save this for another time. 12 Monkeys, which is the movie we're discussing today, or They Live.
They Live.
Right out the gate. I love it.
I think I might have to go with 12 Monkeys on this one. I think They Live is really good. And I love John Carpenter a lot. I just surprisingly hate every other Terry Gilliam thing I've ever seen. But this movie's really pretty solid. And that might just be the time travel bent. You know me and time travel. I love it. Mm-hmm. Like a good cup of hot chocolate. But
well, Harrison, I hate to, don't get offended by this, but like you can't compare a documentary to a motion picture.
That's a good point. I should have seen it coming.
I mean, they were both documentaries.
All right, so 12 Monkeys for Scott. Ren's gonna go with They Live. I think I'm actually gonna land on They Live as well. Just had a little bit more impact on me. I'm excited to talk about 12 Monkeys. And I'll get more into it when we get to it. But I think I'm going to put They Live above it.
Well, with that, let's dive in.
5 billion people died in 1996 and 1997. Almost the entire population of the world. I am simply trying to gather information to help the people in the present trace the path of the virus.
We're not in the present now, Mr. Cole.
Sent me to the wrong year. It was 1990.
You're certain of that?
Looking for the army of the 12 monkeys.
Monkeys.
I'm not crazy. I know some things that you don't know.
You haven't become addicted, have you, Cole? To that dying world?
No, sir. I just want to do my part to get us back on top, in charge of the planet.
You're a trained psychiatrist. You know the difference between what's real and what's not.
The question is, Cole, do you want another chance?
Got the human race. It's a great idea.
The mutants! We live underground!
You had a bullet from World War I in your leg, James. How did it get there?
You said that I had delusion, bro. You said you could explain it.
I'm trying to.
We're all monkeys.
I see it, dead people.
So today we're diving into the 1995 sci-fi masterpiece 12 Monkeys. Directed by the visionary Terry Gilliam, the film carries his signature surrealist touch, but it's anchored by a powerhouse script from David and Janet Peoples, the writing duo behind Blade Runner and Unforgiven. Visually, it's a fever dream of grit and shadows thanks to a cinematographer named Roger Pratt and a haunting tango-inspired score by Paul Buckmaster. The film features a career-shifting performance from Bruce Willis as James Cole, a man stripped of his action hero bravado and replaced with a profound sense of tragic confusion. He's joined by Madeleine Stowe, who provides the film's emotional heart, and a manic, first-time Oscar-nominated performance from Brad Pitt, who completely disappeared into the role of Jeffrey Goines. The story is set in a bleak 2035 where a virus has forced the remnants of humanity underground. Cole is sent back in time to the 1990s, not to save the world, but to gather data for a future cure. And Harrison, tell us how this ended up on your list originally. I was trying to remember how we got to this. Tell us a little bit about why you put it on the list and your thoughts on the movie.
This ended up on my list, just complete recommendation. I never seen this film. I really love Bruce Willis, and I've just been itching to watch some movies with him in it just because of what's going on with him lately. And it just kind of breaks my heart to see him just kind of deteriorating. And I just want to remember him, you know, like we've gone through Armageddon and now we're on 12 Monkeys. It just feels good to see him on the screen. My experience in watching this film, I don't think I've ever said, what the hell am I watching, so many times when I was watching this film. And the amount of off the wall theories I yelled into the void while watching this is incredible. I actually have a whole list that I'll probably read through before we get really into it. Cause man, this was an experience. I watched it and then I think I messaged you guys on Discord about this. I was like, okay, should I remain the confused host or should I look more into it? And I decided to look more into it. So I did a little research online just to kind of make sure I had everything set down. And then I actually watched the movie a second time about 2 hours ago. And I will say this, the second viewing is completely different than the first viewing. I don't think it was as exciting as the first view, but when I watched it the second time, things were kind of clicking and I was just making more sense. And I was like, oh, okay, I feel satisfied now and I feel calmer because one of the best things about this film, it made me feel like I was going insane, which I think was the purpose of the film, and it succeeded.
So I had never heard of this movie before it ended up on Harrison's list for our original time travel. I'm a huge time travel pretentious nerd. Like, it's got to be done right or it like really loses points. It can be fun and I can still just be like, yeah. You know, I like Back to the Future a lot and I rewatch them, but they're just really bad time travel movies. They're fun time travel movies. But I'm really, really interested. I think just the game designer in me really likes consistent rules and stuff like that. And time travel is one of those things that it's just really easy to take liberties on the rules you create for a more impactful moment in the story, and then it ruins the rest of the movie for me when they do that. And so I appreciated that 12 Monkeys was ship tight. It's such a tight movie when it comes to the time travel stuff. But similarly, I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I was really surprised that by the end, I was like, wait a minute, maybe Bruce Willis is insane. And his performance through all of that was really good. Also, it was really weird seeing Brad Pitt be someone different than his like post. What is it? Was he in Ocean's 11 that he started being like the cool eating person all the time?
I would say like Ocean's 11, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, somewhere around there.
But that's who he's always been to me. So seeing him as this just like skinny punk kid, just absolutely crazy, liberal revolutionary, crazy person, with his like weird left eye and the ponytail and like the weird I was like, I had to like stop and look up on IMDb. Oh yeah, that actually is Brad Pitt, because it was, I was like, oh yeah, it's Brad Pitt. But then it just wasn't Brad Pitt acting wise. It was really good at it and uncomfortable the whole time that I had to second guess myself and double check. Yeah. This is a movie that I was absolutely surprised at how well made it was and how many layers there are. And I think this is going to be one of those movies that I'll probably have to rewatch multiple times and I'll think about for years. There's just a treasure trove here. It's more than your typical popcorn muncher, that's for sure.
Just from the sounds of it, you guys are much higher on this, but I knew like when the movie was over, I was like, I have to rewatch this. I don't have time between now and when we record, but I just know that I need to rewatch it eventually at some point. I wrote this down, but I was just like, I feel disoriented. It's a tough, slow ride. Or it's not slow, but it's a tough watch for me. I didn't have like an aha moment in this viewing until about an hour and 25 minutes. Most films don't do that. and it was just like, all right, like this is finally becoming rewarding, but like, there's a few times I was just kind of looking down at the clicker being like, oh man, like we're still going. And how is this all gonna work? Like if you asked me right now, tell you what the movie's about, I don't know if I could.
I had a similar experience with you on the first watch where I was like, I'm waiting for the aha moment where it clicks and you're like, oh my gosh. And then you think about the rest of the movie and you apply that context. And even on the second viewing, when I got to the end, I still didn't have like an aha click that like rippled backwards throughout the film, but it was satisfying at the end to like, I actually wrote down a timeline and got it all lined up. And when I finally finished the last point, I was like, oh, okay. Like it was like, it's like flopping in your bed after a long flight, it was just like, there we go. Okay, we're set. It was a fun adventure. Like I said, I yelled out a lot of theories as I was watching this. Can I read through some of them for you guys?
Please.
Okay. Just a couple things that I just wrote down. Are there going to be 12 monkey clues throughout this film? Is Catherine and James, are they like secret partners? Like were they cops beforehand? Are they causing their own plague by sending all these people from the future into the past? And that's causing the plague that's going to happen later?
That's ridiculous. That has nothing to do with this movie.
I'm starting to think that Bruce Willis is actually insane. I don't know. Woof. I wrote that down. I actually wrote down woof. Is everyone else insane? Why is Bruce disappearing? Is he running out of time? Are the 12 monkeys the 12 characters in this story? Are Catherine and James the same person? I just yelled it out and I was like, that's stupid. I don't know why I said that. And then the last one I wrote down from the very last scene was it's zooming in on young James, and I was like, oh my gosh, Catherine is his mom. It's gonna pan up, and Catherine's gonna be his mother. I just know it.
I was actually kind of hoping for that. I genuinely was hoping for that.
I'm so glad. Thank you, Scott, because I literally was like panicking. I like had my hands on my head, and I was like, oh my gosh, Catherine's his mother. That's what's gonna happen. Oh my gosh.
Let me tell you why that would have been satisfying. That would have given her a definitive reason to not recognize him, but still feel like he was really familiar, right? If
I could
she
see that.
died during the pandemic, outbreak, and Bruce Willis, James Cole, like continued to live on, and he has all this trauma and stuff, and he's like seeing his mom, but then he's associating his mom being this blonde girl who like stopped, like came to this guy who got shot in the airport and stuff. Like, I feel like that would have tied up my only flaws with, I think, the script in general, which we'll get to later. But yeah, I really kind of wanted that to happen.
I think my craziest one was when I was like, oh my gosh, James and Catherine are the same person. I just know it. And
I mean,
it wasn't that, by the way.
It's not that bad.
Not too bad.
Did you guys like know anything about this movie before you watched it?
Zero. I didn't even know that Brad Pitt was in this film. I was like, Bruce Willis is in it. Something to do with monkeys. That's all I had.
And a red eyeball because it was on the cover.
Yes, that's it.
I knew nothing. I thought it was like a ghost movie for some reason.
I thought it was a kung fu movie for a long time. I remember seeing it like when I was younger, and I was like, 12 Monkeys. I bet that's a really cool kung fu movie.
I think I'm seeing something that might have, because I was similar. Like, I started this movie, and the whole time I just like my eyebrows were like, what?
Yeah.
But in the very in the opening credit cards, when it's establishing shots and stuff, there's a little thing that says like inspired by Le Jeté on it. Mm-hmm. And that, I think, probably ruined the whole movie for me in comparison to what you guys did, because I like La Jetée. I've watched it. I've studied it. And so in the opening airport scene, when James gets shot and he watches himself die, I was like, that's the whole premise of La Jetée right there. So I knew the whole movie that it was going to be this time loop where he watched himself die. So those two things together, I kind of wonder if it simultaneously made the movie make more sense, but also reduced the impact of what all the disorientation was supposed to do to me. Like, I was definitely disoriented by all the insanity and stuff like that. And I have, once again, we'll get to my main critiques of this script when it gets closer to Act 3, but otherwise, I was just like, okay, this is an interesting like retelling or take on that story, The Jetty, that French silent film.
Le Jetty. Thank you for pronouncing it correctly. Okay, you're talking about the opening scene where it's like the land of the animals or whatever they say, but there's animals everywhere. You see a lion and a bear. I purposely did not look this up, but I'm going to put a money wager on that bear being the same bear that plays Baloo in the Jungle Book. I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna look it up right now.
What a call! I love it. It's so good.
Period
in 12. I know, and it looks exactly like it. And there's probably only a handful of bears. Bart the bear. Okay, hold on. Is Bart the bear in? Hold on. Bart
this is the best.
Little half-ass research right here. I love it.
Jungle Book, yeah. Let's see. Bart the bear, the famous Kodak bear known as John Wayne of Bears, starred in many films, but was not in Disney's Jungle Book. What?
John Wayne of Bears.
Oh man,
I learned two things right now. First off, there is a John Wayne of Bears. Second off, Ren was wrong.
Damn, that was, oh my gosh, this episode's so worth it now. I love it.
Dude, I was so confident in that guess. I guess. Well, good thing we're not really betting. So I guess I gotta keep my money.
James, do you know why you're here? Yeah, because I'm a good observer.
There you go.
The intro with it reminded me of the iTunes music visualizer, early 2000s.
You're tickling something in the back of my head, but I don't know if I can remember it.
I only used Winamp. I'm sorry.
Kaleidoscope of colors with like really hard, like pixelated edges. That's what made me think about it.
Harrison, why don't you give us a summary of what happened in this movie? Give us a timeline, and then we can start diving into stuff.
Okay, I'm gonna make an attempt at this because I think I got it, but just scream out if I got anything wrong. Okay, so in the year 1996, a virus is released, kills 5 billion people. Everyone else so to survive, they all go underground. And I don't think this is said in the film, but I saw it referenced a lot. It's now the year 2035, which is coming up, guys. So be ready to live underground soon.
Yeah, so
Yep.
this is definitely reverse engineered from Bruce Willis's age.
Then so what they're doing is they're sending up volunteers, quote unquote, and they're gathering samples up on the surface world that they can't live on anymore, and they're trying to find like an original strain of the virus so that they can make a cure. That's what Bruce Willis is doing. That's what James is doing when he's sent up there, and he's collecting, the cockroaches and the spiders and things like that. The people in charge of all this are like, hey, Cole, you are a good observer and you seem like a good guy. We're going to send you back in time. So he suits up, or I guess he doesn't suit up. He's basically naked when they send him back. And he's sent back to 1990. Their intention was to send him to 96, but he got overshot. And he's in 1990. And that's when the scene when he first meets Catherine. And he's just a blubbering mess. By the way, I actually really like the touch that he's a blubbering mess, because time travel does not sound like a fun event. And I like the fact that he was so like disoriented when he arrived in 1990.
This is something that I have already decided I'm incorporating into a time travel story that I've been working on for far too long. But the time travel back is really brutal physically and mentally, and it helps with the disorientation and kind of can help explain if you ever meet yourself, like why it doesn't go well, stuff like that. So I appreciate that Terry did that in this movie. I don't know who's in charge of that, the Peoples or Gilliam, but I'm gonna say Gilliam as a shortcut because he's the director.
I like that he overshot. That's kind of an interesting concept. We're so used to like, you punch in the date or the year you want to go to when you time travel, and this is like, no, we don't have this actually down. We can get you in the general area. So yeah. He shot back to 1990. That's when he meets Catherine. That's when he ends up in the insane asylum. That's when he meets Jeffrey. All that stuff happens. Then he gets tied up, and then he disappears from the insane asylum. So he's sent back to 2035. I'm assuming the people who are in charge of the time travel, they can choose when to do that. That was my assumption. It didn't seem like it was like a timer. It didn't seem like he did something that caused that. It sounded like they like push the button to bring him back.
I think that's the tooth tracker thing.
Okay, I like that. So then he goes back. He basically informs them that, hey, I went to 1990. This is what I did. They play that voicemail, which is from Catherine, but they don't know that yet. Then they try to send him back again. And then he way overshoots and he ends up in World War I. When I first watched the World War I scene, it wasn't any 1917 scene, but I thought it was pretty good, really chaotic. I kind of found that scene kind of out of place for a little while, but on my second view, and I was like, oh, this is actually extremely an important scene because it does two really important things. James, he ends up meeting Jose, I think that's what his name was, and he's another time traveler that they sent back, and he ends up in the photo with both of them in there.
It's unclear to me whether or not Jose is like a regular chum that he knows from present 1935. Or 2035, I mean. They like just kind of know each other, or they just met when they were time traveling. But it's like they do talk to each other familiar, even though there's like 10 seconds of screen time of Jose total. So
yeah, Jose is definitely a time traveler. He is part of that speech that Catherine gives. Yeah, when she's talking about the Cassandra effect, she mentions him specifically. He's like, yeah, he showed up. He was talking about the doomsday and trying to tell everyone, and no one would listen to him. And then he disappeared. So they brought him back from that trip to World War I. The other important thing that happens in that scene is Bruce Willis gets shot, and it puts that bullet in his leg. So that all happens. Then he's sent back to 2035. They pull him back out, and now we're back in 1996, which is when Catherine gives a speech about doomsday. She meets that scientist who ends up being the bad dude, and then James kidnaps her. Then they go on this trip to Philadelphia, and that's when he finds out Jeffrey is the founder of the 12 Monkeys, and that whole scene where he ends up in the mansion with him, which that part was super confusing. I'll say this. Brad Pitt, I mean, I don't know how they wrote a script for him with the lines he had. I literally was watching. I was like, how does somebody their head and write it down? Like, I feel like Brad Pitt just like showed up on set and they were just like, hey, Brad, go. And he just like came up with this character, and everything he said was off the top of his head because it blew my mind.
I want to agree with you on that. It is definitely doesn't feel scripted. It feels directioned and then unhinged.
So that all happens. James and Catherine have that fight in that park. She ends up in the trunk of the car. He pulls her out. Then she pulls the bullet out of his leg. Then he gets teleported back to 2035 again. She ends up finding out that bullet is actually from World War I. I feel like that's the catalyst to being like, no, he actually is time traveling. Like, this isn't just a crazy vision he has, because we actually have a physical thing that came from a different time. That bullet kind of grounds it in quote unquote reality.
Also, at this point moving forward is where Catherine starts to lose me a little bit, her character and the script, but keep going.
How are you feeling, Ren?
This is the 1 hour, 25-minute mark where she pulls the bullet out. So this is kind of like where my attention kind of like focuses. Like, I'm just being transparent about like my viewing experience. Like, I wasn't bored, but I was just like, okay, I'm just like putting faith into this that it's going to make sense eventually. And I just think it happened a lot later than I was expecting. Yeah, but keep on going. Keep on going.
Okay. So then James is in 2035. He basically he's giving them a report. Let's see. Yeah. Then he gets sent back. And this is the scene where Catherine, she makes the connection about the bullet. And then she ends up going to the 12 Monkeys, like where their quote unquote headquarters is. And she's banging on the door. She's spray painting on the side of the wall. And James just kind of like shows up. Then they end up going to that hotel. By the way, this is the section of the film where I felt the most unhinged, because I truly started feeling like Catherine was going insane. Okay, so they end up in that hotel and that guy just like pops in, is like, what the hell are you guys doing in here? And the way that James and Catherine were talking, it felt like a druggy couple trying to get out of a bad situation and then find a way to score more drugs. That's how I felt the whole time. This was the section of the movie that I was like screaming out theories, just anything I could think of. It was really nuts. And then also in that scene, that's when James removes his teeth, which has the trackers in them. Then Catherine leaves that voicemail for the scientists. And this is where I got where I had the random thought of like Catherine and James were the same person, because he knew the voicemail she left. That was kind of funny. So all that wraps up. They get disguised. As they're heading to the airport, the 12 Monkey group, they release the animals from the zoo. Now, what that tells to me is the whole 12 Monkeys and Jeffrey was kind of a red herring. They didn't really have anything to do with the virus being released, besides the fact that Jeffrey is the son of the scientist who created the virus.
It's okay. This is the nuance, right? So the virus getting released was kind of like Inception planted into Jeffrey's head during the scene that's on screen right now, accidentally. So Bruce Willis inadvertently tells the crazy Brad Pitt, hey, there's this virus that's gonna go out. I'm here to like stop that from happening. So then Jeffrey's in his insanity comes up with this whole reason of why that's a good thing. So he's trying to make that happen. And in fact, kidnaps his dad to release the virus, but doesn't succeed because his dad ups the security. But in the process of doing so, gets the apocalyptic doomsday actual terrorist guy clued into, hey, maybe that's a good idea too. The guy that actually does it in the end is doing it because Bruce Willis, telephone chain of people, like told it to Jeffries told it to his dad, and his dad said, hey, let's up security so this doesn't happen, to the guy who actually does it.
Ren, are your eyes glazed over yet? Or are you with us?
A little bit of both.
Okay. That's good. No, that's good. Okay.
I watched the movie, but yeah, it's all checking out. I don't think I was as confused as I thought. There's part of me that like, I hear all this and like, yeah, it's really impressive how they put it all together. But then there's part of me that's just like, okay.
Sure.
It's a lot to digest. Here's what I think. I feel like this movie, I think that 12 monkeys crawled so that the Matrix could fly. And this is sort of like a mix between the movie Outbreak and the Matrix. So I can appreciate all of this, but part of me is just like I'm having a hard time getting into it.
No, I get you. I don't know if this is gonna make you mad, Scott, but the two movies I connected with this film was They Live and Quantum Cowboys. Those are the two movies that I like. I was like, I feel like this is a combo of these two films almost.
I'm a little mad about that.
Okay. At least in terms of just like these time loops and all these things happening over again, just in terms of how that vibe felt. Then this is kind of the big scene for me, and I had to really think about it and rewatch this scene. So
if you enjoy watching our show on Spotify or YouTube and you want to be more involved, we encourage you to please come check out our Patreon community. Not only does our Patreon community get every episode you see on YouTube early, fully uncut, uncensored, and ad-free, but we're also doing Patreon-exclusive episodes, as well as Q&As, video clips, and access to our entire film catalog. It's a lot of fun and a nice way to say thanks for the cost of a cup of coffee every month. Now, back to the show.
They end up at the airport, and in that moment, James goes and leaves a voicemail for those scientists, and he's basically saying, hey, the 12 monkeys have nothing to do with this. They didn't release the virus. When he's done with that, Jose shows up, and he comes up to him and hands him a gun, and is like, hey, my orders are to give you this. If you don't take this and if you don't follow your orders, I'm going to shoot the girl. So James is like, who do I shoot? What do I do? And he ends up with a gun. Then they go through security. James goes to shoot the scientist who actually has the viruses in his briefcase. He goes to shoot him, then security kills him. And the young James witnesses his own death. I was like, why did he give him the gun if he didn't end up killing the scientist? And then I realized, I was like, wait a minute. Jose gave him the gun not to kill the scientist, but that's so that James would die. Because if he has the gun, that means this airport security guys are going to shoot and kill him. I wouldn't say it was a huge click that rippled through the whole movie for me, but that was definitely the moment of like, oh my gosh, okay. I understand why this happened now. And that was kind of my satisfying flop in the bed after a long plane ride moment. And I think I'm feeling pretty confident about that, but I'm excited to hear any more juiciness you can give me.
Here are the questions that I have. So the gun one, I think you make a good case for that. That was one of my questions. Why was the gun important for the plot? The time travel stuff is interesting. It's the surface level story. I want to know, like, what are the themes they're trying to talk about? What are they... It's well done. It's interesting. I already knew that was going to happen the minute I saw La Jetée in the opening credits. So that's not what I was focused on through this movie. Knowing that, and in hindsight, James Cole's character is great. Mm-hmm. The fact that he's perceived as this insane dude back in the 90s is perfect for this story because it's really helpful. It's also leaves you feeling like, am I crazy? Is he crazy? Stuff like that. There's layers to this that are all red herrings, but they're good red herrings because they are satisfying to the whole plot. Putting so much emphasis on Brad Pitt's character, I think, was also really smart. It did feel a little unsatisfying that it's just the virologist guy that causes the virus in the end. I think that maybe the question that I have is, what is the message of this? Is it don't play God? Is it stop trying to change the past because you're going to create the past that you're trying to change by changing the past? This is my, like, what was the gut punch from Quantum Cowboys? What was the gut punch from About Time? What was the gut punch from Tenet, from Braid, from these time travel stories? There's something about the past and trying to change the past that all of these time travel stories are kind of circling around, and they're all kind of cautionary tales. And this one's the most cautionary in that there's nothing you can do. What happened, happened. And the more you try, the more futile it is. And maybe you're the problem in the first place by focusing on the past so much, which is also the same theme of Cinema Paradiso. Like, Toto kind of caused his own loneliness by focusing on the past. And that's the thing that he's just fighting over all the way into his 50s, and why he never settles down and marries, because he's stuck with this one girl that he should honestly just move on from. But he can't do it because he's so focused on the past. Is like, what is that cautionary tale there? And I guess I want to open that up. What are you guys' thoughts there? And then I want to talk about Catherine's character during this final scene here.
So one last thing, my thought about this film was like, okay, they're trying to stop the virus from getting out. They're actually not trying to stop it. They're actually trying to make it happen. I don't know. You're the time travel expert. In my head, they can't change the past. They can't actually stop the virus from happening. So they're trying to ensure that it happens so that they can actually get the strain so that they can make a cure and make it better from 2035 onwards. I think that's why that lady was on the plane at the very end.
So I want to talk about the lady. Is she the same lady that's part of the group in the future?
Yes.
The one in insurance?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yes. So she went back in time herself, and that's why she tells him, like, I'm in insurance.
My thought was that's her younger self, and she just happened to sit next to him. But I think your take on that is more interesting. That she's there as an insurance to him to make sure that he spread the virus to all. It goes into like conspiracy and cabals, and they live and stuff like that. Who's in control and why? It feels very, own nothing and be happy, gonna eat the bugs from present day, stuff like that. So I have mixed feelings about the whole depopulating the world thing, using it as a trope in films. I said, this movie has layers. It's like an onion or cake.
Thank you, Shrek. Back to your original question about like the message that this movie sends. That's one reason why this movie is a little lower in my rating, because I have no idea what the message is. I don't know if it's trying to tell us something. I think it's a really fun puzzle to solve. That's what I got out of this film. I'm interested in seeing it again, maybe in a year or something like that, and see if it strikes something more in me, or if I read more discourse online, things like that.
I got a question. So Bruce Willis's character, he doesn't go back in time to prevent the catastrophe and to change the present, but he does that to acquire the knowledge needed to make his life more tolerable in the future. Does that
basically yes. They're sending him back to get information, to maybe even find a pure strand of the virus so that they can make the cure in 2035.
Yes, it's a single unified timeline. There's no timeline splits. If you went back in time and you were there in 1930, you were there in 1930, even from 2035, And I think that's the beauty and the limitation and the shackle. And also, I think the intense pull for me is, can you write a satisfying story with all of the timeline limitations when inevitably it's going to end up the way that it was in the first place? This is a way that I've tried to visualize temporal movement in video games as a game mechanic. I've thought a lot about this, so I'm going to try and not monologue. In the video game Portal, you jump through space in a way that's non-Euclidean. Okay, so basically you can create any door on any floor, ceiling, or wall, and you pop through that and you're somewhere else. So that basically shrinks down distance to immediate. And you can run 15 miles to end up exactly where you were if you pop through another portal. There's even one scene at the end of Portal 2 where you shoot a portal on the moon, and then you like pop out there and the bad guy like gets launched into space from the moon. It's very funny. It works in the game quite well. But if you think of time as a physical space and you're hopping from location to location in time, you're basically popping portals across a timeline. And so time doesn't really matter. So you can end up in all sorts of places in the past, but end up in the exact same place in the future. So then they do this where it's like Jose comes to the airport and says, hey, you learned, we found out where you were because you left that message. And then he's like, the thing I did 5 minutes ago? and that's relevant because in the future, they'd lost track of where James was. But when James puts a marker on him in time and physical location and time, space, right? Then they can send Jose back to that exact time and space. And so they might have done that 30 years in the future. It might have been 2065, but it doesn't matter in the context of this story. All of this, actually, if you want to watch a really good TV show, there's a TV show called The Travelers, and it explores time travel like this really, really well. So they did a lot of these things. I'm realizing now that after watching 12 Monkeys, that a lot of the kind of mechanics and stuff were lifted from this movie, but they just explore them deeper and longer because it's a whole TV show. And they had more than 2 hours. They had, like 30 or whatever to explore it. So, yeah.
Nerd alert.
Nerd.
I'm taking it all in. I'm understanding the movie a little bit better, but I just got to say this. There was some unnecessary nudity in this.
I saw at least 2 butt cheeks twice.
2.
All right.
I saw
let me
penis.
get
Just saying.
All right. So Bruce Willis, his nudity, both are necessary. Okay. Contrary to what anyone else might think, Brad Pitt, his nudity scene was unnecessary. Okay. So Bruce Willis, 2 for 2. Brad Pitt, 1 for 0. Madeleine Stowe, 0 for -1.
It's true.
That sucks.
Historical moment.
Yeah.
A movie with only male nudity.
Yeah.
I will say this. I'm
what
watching that scene with Bruce Willis, with James getting his ass scrubbed, and I was like, Bruce Willis was standing there, and I was like, I do not get paid enough.
There are some incredible cinematography and scenes of like parallels between the past and the present. That's a really good one. They're both very vivid.
Yep. Yeah.
And shocking because buttocks.
Yeah.
The fact that he's getting scrubbed for 2 different reasons. I don't know. Like that poor guy just got abused like mad through his time travel antics.
When Bruce Willis puts on that condom suit, I know Terry Gilliam, he has a sense of humor. He did the Monty Python films, but that condom suit scene just made me think of the safe sex scene in Airplane. And I know he was thinking of that, or at least I made the correlation.
Like I said, I don't love much of Terry Gilliam, but he is not surface level.
Yeah.
All of his movies, everything he does, anyone that's got that level of just like layers of comedy and humor, you have to be a deep, dark, kind of brooding person to even come up with good humor. I feel like he's just not quite as good as David Lynch at doing the weird stuff because I don't like Terry Gilliam and I'm at least appreciative of David Lynch, even if it makes me feel really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But I was surprised at how Lynchy all of the future stuff felt. Like it really felt kind of like the David Lynch Dune adaptation, stuff like that. I don't know. It was a weird juxtaposition between the future and the past and me going, how would the world change that much into the 1990s Mario Brothers movie level of apocalypse within just a few years? Like how did they do that? And it was explained that they're all underground and stuff, but I do feel like it was kind of a future technological leap, probably bigger than was believable with all of the weird TV screens on the ball and the magnifying glass over the eyeball of the TV screen and stuff. Like, while very concept art and comic booky, it was probably, in my opinion, a little much, but hey, I'm not Terry Gilliam.
It shows one guy reading a newspaper and it just brought me back into time. But do you guys remember that Bat Child National Enquirer?
Oh, yes.
Dude, when I saw that, I remember what Winco I was in when I first saw that. Like I got transported. That was really cool to see that again after all these years.
Yeah, no, I actually remember buying that. I remember buying those magazines. Just just those wild magazines. They're just like, yeah, we can put anything we want in this. I thought they were so cool when I was like 12 or 13 or whatever.
No one's fact checking us. Let's just do whatever. Let's sell some. Yeah, let's just sell some papers.
Snopes doesn't exist for another 10 years. Let's get away with it.
Yeah. There was 2 parts in this movie that made me laugh out loud. One of them was at the very end where it shows those giraffes running across the bridge. I don't know why. I just started cracking up at how bad it looked. And then that one lady, when she's sitting behind that square magnifying window thing. Yeah, other than that, not a lot of laughs in this movie, but I had to point those 2 out.
Okay, so I was really surprised throughout the whole film at how brutally honest she reacted to everything. Not super strong, just normal academic gal who works in the field of crazy people. She's interested in kind of digging through puzzles and stuff like that. So mentally, she's down for your good old national treasure kind of hunt to figure stuff out. But they did not play it up like, oh, I'm suddenly happy you kidnapped me. She hates that she's kidnapped the whole movie. and really does want to help him and get away at the same time. And when James like kidnaps her car in the car, she's like sobbing as she's like scared to death driving away. I was like, this is all really good acting, really good script writing and stuff like that. All the way through her piecing together that, oh my gosh, maybe this guy really did time travel. I loved the way she came to that conclusion, like through a struggle. I loved that there was this hard juxtaposition when James Cole comes back from the future after she's made that conclusion. She's like, all right, bro, I get it. You're a time traveler. Let's solve this thing so that 5 billion people don't die. And he's like hard 180'd. And he's like, no, I'm crazy. You need to help me. And I loved that juxtaposition all the way. I did not understand her motivation and why she acted the way they did once they decided to go to Florida Keys. I think what they were doing is they were like, she's doing the Cassandra effect. She has like absolutely created this whole world in her head and stuff. But that's a really unsatisfying answer because it feels very plot convenient. And there was nothing else in this movie that was plot convenient. Everything else played out exactly the way that it should be. But then it was like, and then she just changed her character for the final like 3 scenes so that it could work out the way we need to. And that's my problem. It's not a perfect telling of this limitation on time travel because her character shifts so hard there. And Bruce Willis doesn't want to have anything to do with it at that point. And yet he's the one that needs to go to the end. And it's this weird thing where it's like he's reacting to the world when you want him to be more invested in trying to do the thing or at least stop doing the thing. But he's just kind of like there and gets shot.
Yeah, you bring up a good point, Scott. I got to say, I really liked Madeleine Stowe's performance, but you're right. The writing with that is just kind of there's a screw loose somewhere. One thing took a note of, but this is our 3rd movie that we've covered in a row that has a scene in a movie theater. And I'm curious if Eternal Sunshine for the Spotless Mind has a movie theater scene. I've never seen it. We'll find out. Don't say, but that'll be 4 for 4.
Yeah, I honestly can't remember, but I secretly hope there is now. I think it's gonna be good.
Yeah, for real. Isn't it crazy how much that airport felt like a train station?
Yeah.
Pre 9/11, airports were basically like flying trains.
Dude, it's crazy. Like honestly, I was looking at when they were going through security and they were like, hey, let's open the bag. Let's look at what's in here. And it's like, oh, it's just bio samples. And here, let's open it and you can smell it. And like the scanner they go through is like not that long. The lines for security isn't all organized. And it's just this quick, like, yeah, everything looks fine in that bag. All right, let's move on.
It's just a metal detector.
Just a couple little random notes I have before we move into ratings and slimiest scenes. Putting Looney Tunes on an insane asylum, that's a classic, and I see it. Like, come on. You could be a little more creative, though. There is a lot of crooked cameras in this film.
It's very Hitchcock.
Honestly, I almost need to watch it a 3rd time because I'm really curious if there's like a method as to when the camera is crooked and when it's not. Because I really noticed it very heavily when they're in like the insane asylum or when he's time traveling, things like that.
Well, it's definitely more crooked when they're like in the insane asylum. That's when I first started really noticing that. And then Scott, I think you just made the connection because when they're in the movie theater, they're watching Vertigo, which is an Alfred Hitchcock classic. So yeah, it's kind of all bleeds together. I thought that was cool.
Crooked cameras is a very established thing. Hitchcock is the one that played with it the most in most of his movies. He typically had some sort of mental confusion or he's trying to convey uncomfortable or maybe you don't really know what's happening by making you feel uncentered in the scene itself. Yeah, a crooked camera is a great way to make you think that maybe someone is crazy. Here's a great example. So in Nightmare Before Christmas, when Sally is making the soup for the mad scientist, her creator, and she puts the frog's breath in or something like that, or worm's wort or whatever it was, and the smell gets to her, the camera goes all crooked and stuff, like she's gonna pass out. And so it's a great visual way to convey like your brain's not working right. And so I don't know how it would be interesting to see if there's an analysis of, or to do an analysis of, is every single time the camera is crooked, is that like an equivalent to Quantum Cowboys where this hasn't been written into the timeline versus
Yeah.
It's just somebody's memory or something like that. It hasn't been created in art yet because it looks super real. So isn't an equivalent thing like, this is when James is making stuff up, or he's high, or Brad Pitt's present or something like that.
Yeah. The really jiggly amputated leg in the World War scene that really wigged me out. They're carrying this guy on a stretcher, and this guy's leg is just like like all over the place.
He had his bones removed from his leg, like in Harry Potter.
There you go. So the speech that Catherine gives about the Cassandra effect. There's that first line she says. You hear it again when they get to Philadelphia. There's that like homeless priest guy. He says the exact same thing that she says.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
It was just interesting. Like, whoa, it kind of is about who says it. It came off very educational, very informative from her, and it came off as insane and just ramblings of a madman with him.
I do want to say in conjunction with that, there's a cool thing that Gilliam did in this movie that they also did in They Live, which is the conspiracy people were right, and the conspiracy people all seem to know each other. Right? And in this movie, it's like all the time travelers and all the crazy people. You wonder how many of the crazy people are actually crazy, or how many of them lost their mind because they got sent back in time to observe.
Thank you,
and then they
Scott.
just didn't have it.
Yep.
There's like that crazy old dude with no teeth that is sometimes talking to Bruce Willis in his head, and you're like, maybe he's crazy, but then he's like present there in 1996 near the 12 Monkeys thing, and he tells him about his teeth getting pulled out, but then when he talks to Cassandra later, he doesn't remember anything and stuff. Like, there's a lot of cool, like, it makes you feel crazy watching it stuff that Gilliam did with this that was very similar to They Live as well.
Well, it's just funny, like, even you saying that, like, just saying the fact, like, oh yeah, see all these crazy people and these homeless people in the film, like, they're all time travelers that got sent back. Like, that sounds insane to say, and it makes you feel crazy. I really think that one of the purposes of this movie, I think he had a goal of, like, I want people to watch this and feel like they're going insane.
And question insanity.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's the coolest thing about this movie. Like, once again, the whole time travel loop thing, for better or for worse, was not that much of an aha moment for me. I just love the way that Gilliam made you feel Bruce Willis is right to be seen as this absolute crazy person, but he's not. And then it makes you kind of question yourself, and it makes you question her, and it makes you like that undercurrent through the whole thing that makes you feel uncomfortable about what you're watching and question the reality, even though you're seeing it and going, I don't think there's any ill intent here or wrong motive. It's just, he looks freaking insane all the time. And he says really insane things all the time. And through the lens of someone who did not come from the future, they're terrible. But from the lens where he came from the future, and he's never like lived as an adult in the real world before, he doesn't know what the social conventions are. He's like been trapped inside of a cage, and he was quote unquote volunteered as a volunteer to go observe. Like, he's got this really childlike perspective on life, but he's really strong and really intense, and he just remembers stuff good. Like, that's his whole purpose. But, like that first scene when he shows up and he's just like chained to the floor, blubbering and bloody and stuff like that. And she's like, do you know why you're here? And she's asking, why are you arrested in this place? And he's like, yeah, because I'm a good observer and I have a strong mind. Yeah, it sounds absolutely insane. But that was something that was said to him 5 minutes earlier in the movie. Maybe
the message of this film is to kind of show how close we are as people to going insane. I'm watching this movie and I have moments where I'm like, am I going crazy? Like, am I actually insane right now? Because I can't figure this out, or I have all these crazy theories I'm throwing out there. And it's one of those things, like, a movie made me feel that way. I watched one movie and I had a moment of like I was crazy. Maybe it was just one thing that made that happen. And maybe that just means we have to have more sympathy for people who have, or who are grieving, who are going through hard times. Maybe that's what it's trying to tell us. I don't know.
Ren, is that part of your connection to the Matrix with this film?
I think so. Just the fragility of the mind, the time travel, just the alter. Yeah,
I'm trying to think of a slimy scene real fast. Yeah, I think the slimy scene for me is when Catherine goes to the 12 Monkeys like headquarters and is just banging on the door. She's spray painting on the side. They go to the motel. They sound like a crack couple just trying to get drugs. Because that was the moment that I felt like this movie just unhinged for me. And I was just like, oh my gosh, anything is possible. What's going on? And I started yelling out all those random theories I could come up with. That being said, I think I'm going to give this movie probably a 3.5. The first watching is extremely unique. The second watching was satisfying in a sense. But like I said, it didn't really have a strong message for me. It was a fun puzzle to solve. And I feel like I can let this movie lie. Maybe I'll pick it up another time, but I'm not itching to watch it again.
Yeah, let's see. My slimy scene is when Bruce Willis and Catherine are out in the woods and he like grabs her shoulders and he says, "I'm sorry." And then it cuts to a scene where he's not with her. And then you hear over the radio about they found this body mutilated by the river. And you wonder, oh my gosh, did he really do that? Like I like it broke me. I was like, no, he's a good guy. He's the good guy. And they really did a good job making you feel very sympathetic to him, but he was insane enough that maybe he's just a crazy person and he went and killed his wife by stabbing her in the neck with a nail and then trying to revive her. Oh wait, no, that was the devil all the time. But yeah, that was probably the slimiest scene for me because it was the one where I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
And saying that, I think I'm going to give this movie a 4. There's a lot about this movie I don't like portrayal. It's grittier than I like movies to be. It's also a really dark take on La Jetée, which is not gritty. And, you know, I've got mixed feelings about people just going, how much shock factor can we rely on to retell a story? It feels it's going to be a very dated thing when we look back 30 years from now. It'll be like, yeah, the 2000s and the 2010s are all about how much can we make the bad guys good and twist stuff like that. So I don't love that kind of stuff, but it's such a ship tight time travel story. Like they really did follow their rules. And like I said, there's only like 1 or 2 flaws in the actual script writing. It's just, do you like this weird kind of movie or not? And that's an opinion thing. But as far as execution, man, it's executed really, really well. So I'm going to put it at a 4. I definitely will say it's in the top level of time travel-ish, but I probably wouldn't recommend it over something like Tenet or Looper or something like that.
I think this movie kind of falls into the category of like, I had more fun learning about the production than the actual film. In fact, there's a documentary about the making of the film called The Hamster Factor and Other Tales of 12 Monkeys. Really interesting, really cool stuff behind the scenes and a really cool insight into Terry Gilliam and kind of how it all happened and just the mayhem that ensued. There was 2 scenes that I really liked. There's one scene where Madeleine Stowe's character is kind of doing a book tour, and it starts off with this super zoomed in shot of like a doorway, and it zooms out for what feels like maybe like 20 or 30 seconds, and then it shows this epic, just beautiful piece of art, and then they're in this giant museum, and she's kind of talking about, she's signing copies of her book. And then one guy's just like, I might have to go get vaccinated after she's telling him the history of the bubonic plague and kind of prophetizing future plagues and stuff like that. It's a really good setup for the movie. Actually, like I found myself, I really liked it when it turned into kind of like a road trip movie with her character and Bruce Willis driving down the road. I think one of the slimiest scenes for me too is that last scene after he gets shot. She puts her hand like on his bullet wound and blood like kind of like gurgles out from between her fingers. I thought that was really cool.
Gnarly.
Yeah, really gnarly. And just, I was like, I don't know if I've seen that too often. Just like it kind of bubbling out between your fingers. I thought that was nice. And then when he knocks his own teeth out, that was disgusting. But yeah, I'm kind of with you, Harrison. I'm like, hey, what is like it's so, there's layers. It's so complex, in my opinion. little too complex, perhaps. But
Mhm.
I wrote this
Can't
down.
wait till we watch Tenet. This is gonna be
Yeah,
great.
yeah. And then my eyes will just gloss over when you guys are all like explaining it to me in the end. Maybe we'll see. The movie ends, the credits roll. I'm just like, what? Like, is the message to like not trust redheads with ponytails? Is it like I'm just trying to like I don't really know what I just saw, but like you, Harrison, like I know I need to rewatch this. My rating is based on my one watch, having you guys explain it to me. And I don't really feel compelled to watch it again, but I will one day. So with that being said, my final rating, I would give it is like a 3, maybe even a 2.5. But I'm gonna go 3 as my final rating for this. I think it's really fascinating to talk about. I love getting my mind blown. Just like the way that you can communicate and explain the rules of how all this time travel stuff works, it basically just makes me realize that like I don't understand time travel. So there's room for growth for me.
I can improve.
Yeah, I can improve. There's more to it.
Let me be clear though, Ren. Time travel is not real. So I don't know if this is a skill you need to develop.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I forgot to say this note, but blonde Madeleine Stowe, yes. I just wrote that down.
Simple as that. I love it.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Ren. In Vertigo, doesn't the main actress bleach her hair? Isn't she a brunette and she bleaches her hair in that movie?
Yeah. Yes.
To be somebody different for Jimmy Stewart?
Yeah.
So there's another Hitchcock parallel.
Dude, that is a mind-blowing. I recently watched that probably in the last year, and it's not a similar movie, but like the ending kind of gave me the same sort of vibes as this one did. I'm just like, wait, what? Like, huh? But we'll talk about that movie some other time.
Yeah.
When we do our Hitchcock deep dive.
After we select deep dive, I'm putting Alfred Hitchcock as one of my categories tonight.
Yeah. Let's jump into doing our movie categories. So we're going to be selecting our movie theme for the next 4 episodes. Really hyped about it. This is always a fun time. So I'm going to jump into mine. My 2 I'm going to be selecting. My first one is going to be sword and sorcery. Think like Willow. Think like 13th Warrior. Just stuff like that. The other one I'm going to pick is spies. So like James Bond or stuff like that.
Sweet.
I think that'd be fun.
Okay, my 2, I'm going to reuse 2025. That's going to be one for me. And then my second category, I'm going to go with history.
You will eventually get to pick one of your mainstays.
One of these months. Yeah.
For me, my first one is Playing God. Honestly, I'm trying to figure out a way to watch Akira or Metropolis or stuff like that. So I'm just like, what theme could I come up with that kind of broadly categorizes a handful of movies that I just want to get picked?
Uh-huh.
And then I have extras, and this is my wild card one to just keep our podcast from being awesome. It's just going to be the weird thing that makes us stand out. And I figured, why not try and pick movies based on the background actors that you don't know? So my thought was like maybe like Lord of the Rings or something. Like you learn a lot about the Uruk-hai and the orcs and stuff for those movies, but they're the extras. So I don't know. Maybe it could come up with something cool.
Oh, dude, I totally misinterpreted that category. So I went into ChatGPT or whatever, and what movies have famous actors that were extras in the background that are famous today? And it gave me like 100. There's a ton of movies that fall into that category. So now you just open up a whole other. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, no, that's a good interpretation of it.
Cool. And then as a side note, every month from those 6 that we just laid out, there's a 7th, like the ultimate wild card, which is the deep dive, where we all pick 2 categories if that one gets selected. So we'll do it step by step. But you got your randomizer ready, Harry?
I got it. Here we go. Roll that dice. Extras is our theme.
No way. All right, cool.
All right. So pick the movie based on not the main actors. Actors in the movie that are not the main actors.
So give me an example.
The main one that I've got is like Lord of the Rings, in that if you watch any of the documentaries about Lord of the Rings, you just see all of this stuff. Like they hired a bunch of people from Queensland that came in, and they're like the was it a soccer team, or it was probably rugby. It was probably the rugby team or something like that. And they came in and they trained to be the crazy Uruk-hai. And they were taught how to walk and how to hold their arms at angles and stuff. And they're really good at the movie, but they're not main actors. You know, that's an interesting story. And so you could pick Lord of the Rings because the background actors in Lord of the Rings are interesting enough to be noteworthy to bring it onto the list.
So we could do Wizard of Oz and talk about the Munchkins.
Yeah.
And how behind the scenes they just tormented Dorothy. All right, cool.
Honestly, we don't even have to talk about the extras. It's just, it's going to limit and shift like what kinds of movies you think of to put on the list. And that's kind of mostly the interesting part to me. It'll bring interesting movies to the surface that we wouldn't have thought of if we picked something more obvious or whatever.
It's perfect.
Awesome.
All right, guys, cool. I got to bounce. Love you guys.
Same.
I'll see you next time. Okay?
Have an awesome night.
Sounds good, man.
Peace. Adios. That's a wrap on another episode of Cinema Slime. Be sure to watch the next film before next Wednesday. We had a blast and hope you enjoyed it. This episode was a production by your hosts, Harrison Jensen, Ren Jensen, and Scott Shepard. This is a group effort, and seriously, thank you. Thank you for listening and watching us however you found us. We really appreciate it. Help us grow by leaving a comment, a 5-star review, subscribe, and share an episode with another cinema lover. Also, let's connect. Find us on Discord and Letterboxd for film discussions, reviews, and recommendations. Also, check us out on social media. We're always posting clips, film rabbit holes we're going down, and interesting stuff. And you can also show your support by using Buy Me a Coffee, and we'll give you a shout out if you'd like. All links can be found in the episode notes. Goodbye.